Hi, I'm Ailbhe McDonagh. In this video, we'll be discussing fourth position. So you've been playing in first position now for a while, and finally we can shift into another position. So if you haven't seen my shifting videos, have a look at those videos to see how we can move into our fourth position from the first position. So why do we learn fourth position after first position? Well, the first position notes, they're here. The next note, if we move our hand up to the first finger, that's literally the next note in the order. So with first position and fourth position, we have access to a lot of different notes. So of course we will learn third position and second position too, but first we'll learn fourth position. So something important to know about the cello is that the spacing as you move up the cello gets slightly smaller and smaller and smaller until you're very, very small up here at the top of the instrument. So you can't just leave your fingers in this wide spacing for first position and expect them to sound correctly up here. So I'm just going to give you an example. I'm going to move my fingers in the same spacing up here. So it sounds pretty terrible, doesn't it? So just to show you, as I get up here, this spacing here in fourth position is a little bit smaller on my hand. So it's actually very, very comfortable up here. Now, where is it exactly, and how do we find our way there without getting lost? What I like to think about, let's say in our first finger, B in first position, to our first finger, E in fourth position. On my cello, my thumb in the C shape hits the back of the cello. So you can see here there's a little neck piece here that goes into the body of the instrument. So my thumb comes all the way until it can't go any further. So it's a great marker. We can just keep shifting until we get there. And my thumb and my first finger, they're pretty much level with each other when we're in that position. So in first position, of course, our thumb was underneath our first and our second finger. But here in fourth position, it's just a little more forward. So here we are. Now, what's awkward about fourth position is the fact that the ribs and side of the cello, they're sort of in our way. So how do we get over that hurdle? What I like to think about is my C shape again. So of course I have a little bit of height here. And the other contact point, my thumb, is at the place where it can't go any further. And then you can see the side of my hand also goes into the side of the cello. So you can see I'm not very close here. I'm out quite a good bit, particularly for the A string. You can see my C shape and there's still quite a hole in there. So that's the point of contact you can see here, if I just put my hand over to the side. Now, so we've got our setup here. The thumb is not going through, it's just halfway there. It might even be slightly over to the left here. And you can see that my fingers are nice and curved in an arch shape. Okay? So on the A string, our notes are E, second finger F, third finger F sharp, and fourth finger G. Now have a look at the rest of my arm. When we were in first position, we had a lovely, comfortable elbow out here. And when I come up here, the elbow is on the same plane, but we really have to be careful to walk our fingers over, particularly on that fourth finger. Up here, that fourth finger needs quite a good bit of support. So have a look at the way I do it. 1, 2, 3, and I'm even coming up and over a little bit more with the hand for my fourth finger, okay? As we play on the D string, A, B flat, B natural, C. So did you see my fourth finger needed a little more support? Now, of course, If you have a much longer fourth finger than I do, maybe you don't need to move in so much. You just need to feel the weight over the finger playing. Just as important here as it is in first position. No squeezing with the thumb, we're just hanging, we're sinking in with our top fingers, and the thumb is just there for a little bit of support. On the G string, D, D sharp, E natural, F, and then finally on the C string. This is the same principle as in first position. Our elbow has to come up a little bit more in order to get the weight coming perpendicularly, if that's a word. So you can see my elbow comes up to support the fourth finger a little more on the C string, just like we do in first position. G, A flat, A natural, B flat. So they're all of our notes. There are plenty of ways that we can think about getting to these notes. You can shift. You can try notes in fourth position, like the A here and the D string, and the open A string. Again, just check, give yourself little games. Where else can I find an A? First position here on the G string, open A, in fourth position, okay? You'll notice that every first finger is the same note as the open string above it. So let's test this. I'm going to do a first finger G on the C string. And then the G string itself is the same note. So very handy for note recognition when we're there. Then we have first finger D on the G string in fourth position. And then open D string. Same again. A on the D string in fourth position. The open A string. So it's good to see, can you find similar notes? Third finger on the D string in fourth position is a B. First finger in first position is also the same B. So it's quite fun to find those ones out. The last thing to think about for fourth position is we are now almost cutting the string at the halfway point. We're not quite there, this is the halfway point with the harmonics, but fourth position is very close to that. So that means when you get to fourth position, you have to play the bow much closer to the bridge for the sound to be the same as it is in first position. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to stay in the same bow contact here. So it does sound a tiny bit quieter. So I'm going to try again. And then move my bow closer to the bridge. So as you're playing in fourth position, don't forget to go slightly closer to the bridge, or else you won't have the quality of sound that you'd like to have. So for fourth position, I really like Rick Mooney's position pieces, book 1. So he has target practices to see how do we get into fourth position, which are very helpful. And then a lot of tunes that are all using first position and fourth position only. So if you look at his A minor melody, we have shift back, and then again. What he's doing there for that piece is very clever. He's giving you the first note, so you can see, can you make it the exact same pitch? The big kangaroo, also very, very helpful. Looking at the change between first and fourth. So working through those pieces will be very helpful. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.